This is a series now. Me just picking a topic and talking about it. It's a series now. I like the unedited style, I like the flow of it. I like it being natural, considering this is a discussion. It's supposed to be a discussion. We're supposed to be starting. Basically, your thoughts in the comments, please. But on the topic of your thoughts in the comments, please, let me know if you'd prefer like a fast edited style of this instead of me talking, and I'll think about trying it. But I like the unedited stuff. But yes, today's topic is sport. And why is it sport? Well, honestly, I'm surprised I didn't think about this when I was coming up with ideas for topics last week, considering we just had the Olympics and we're about to have the Paralympics. And what the Olympics taught me is I don't not like sport, I just don't like the sports that are shown regularly on British television. Because we have 3 main sports, kind of a 4th, but one of them's only 4 times a year. Like, one of them's in set positions, it's also not an exclusively British thing. We have football, obviously, which is fucking boring as all hell. Like, I feel like students on a playground play it properly and play it fast and, you know, run around and do it properly, when professional sports are playing it at a fucking snail's pace and are getting paid too much, but that's a conversation for either celebrity or economics as a topic. Then we have rugby, which is honestly the best of the 3, and that's not hard, but it's still fucking awful, and there's too many rules. I'd prefer American football, but American football takes 4 hours to play a 1-hour game. It's kind of... you need to fix that. But if you fix that, I would quite happily sit and watch... I mean, I'd quite happily sit and watch an American football game anyway, but a lot more if, you know, it didn't take you so goddamn long to play a game that's not that long. And the last one is cricket, which takes forever to play and isn't very interesting. Quick cricket, it's fucking fun. Like, everyone gets one go. And you're out, and you just go. Like, quick cricket's fun, but actual cricket takes days and is boring as all hell. It's fucking garbage. It says something when the 90% of the commentary for cricket matches have nothing to do with the match. It says something about the sport, doesn't it? But I had so much fun during the Olympics actually watching shit. The 3-on-3 basketball was high energy, hyper fast, you know, quick scoring, really good for my short attention span. And I honestly love regular basketball. I believe if I lived in America, I probably would get into the NBA, because I actually do like basketball. Basketball is one of the sports I actually enjoy playing as well. And then you have fucking the combat sports. I got really into the combat sports. I did judo as a kid, and I actually wouldn't mind picking judo and stuff like that back up if I had the time and or cared. But we had, and it makes such good television. Like, it's really simple to stick a camera on and follow, and the rules are weird but easy to understand once they're explained. Like, I got really into the taekwondo. We had like 2 fucking finalists. I don't think either of them won, but that's beside the point. We had at least 2 finalists, and I got really into it in spite of that. Honestly, I got really into the taekwondo. And the rules are quite simple. You get 1 point for a punch. Like, you punch, because it's mostly kicks, taekwondo, although it is the way of the hands and fist. The hands and feet. I'm mentally dyslexic, but I also think I'm verbally dyslexic, if that makes sense. my words fuck up a lot. If you watch the commentary we do for the wrestling, you'd probably know that by now. Yeah, it's 1 point, you get a decent punch. It's 2 point, you get a kick to the body. It's 3 point, you get a kick to the head. It's 4 point if you get a spinning kick to the body, and it's 5 point for a spinning kick to the head. It's that simple. It's really that simple. And like, there's penalties and stuff, and that's pretty, so like, every time they explain what a penalty is for, you're like, that's fair enough. It's like, there was literally a point where neither of the 2 people were attacking and being offensive, and the ref was just like, fucking fight. Fucking fight. Like, fucking penalty, fucking fight. Like, yeah, in a combat sport, you're gonna get a penalty for not doing combat. It makes sense. It makes complete sense. Right? Like, you fall on the floor, you get a penalty. You step out the ring, you get a penalty. And I think you got so many penalties before you're DQ'd, but every penalty you get gives your opponent a point. Like, none of this is complicated, but it's also very good to watch. Like, even a stalemate has that, like, you know, like it all has that like tension, that action to it. It's so much more interesting to watch than, you know, some people vaguely kicking a ball around or someone carrying a ball and running with it. And for some weird reason only being able to throw backwards, which is still fucking stupid to me. Like, it is literally the stupidest thing about rugby. Is, no, you're only allowed to throw backwards, but why? Also, if I turn around and then throw it, is that still counting throwing it backwards? I know it's not, but it's that's how stupid of a rule it is that I can make that joke. And sports climbing. Sports climbing was another one that I got really into in the Olympics. That was so much fun. Oh, and like I would have watched like skateboards and stuff, but it was never on in a time that's good for us. It's like super fucking early in the morning, like 1, 2 a.m., which is the only problem with the Tokyo Olympics, and not being able to go. No, the sports climbing was fucking great. Not just because it was next to a Gundam, but for some weird reason the BBC called it Transformer. Like, legitimately, they did that. Look it up. Just Google it. They did that. They did that. It's fucking ridiculous. They called a Gundam a Transformer. It's hilarious. BBC is fucking stupid. I realise I've been shitting on the BBC News for the past 2 weeks now. I don't mean to. I really like the BBC. You're just the only example I have of, like... Put it this way, you're the only example I have for my problems with the news, because you're the news that I interact with the most. This is technically a positive endorsement. Yeah, there you go. As much as I'm shitting on you, you're also the only one that I watch. So there you go. And that's tentatively because I don't really like watching news, because the whole point of the video last week was that I don't like news media. Anyway. I wasn't watching any of the BBC coverage of the Olympics. I know, this is just me turning into shitting on the BBC again. Because they spent far too much time cutting to a bunch of people in a room talking, in a studio talking, instead of just showing the sports. I'm here to watch sports. I'm not here to watch a bunch of people talk about sports. So I went over to Eurosport and watched all their coverage. Also, fuck it being on Discovery Plus. Speaking of which, we got halfway through the... I watched all of the men's sports climbing. You think that might be a sexist statement, but I'll get to it. I watched all the men's qualifier. Actually, no, I didn't... I missed a bit of the beginning, but I watched basically all of the men's qualifier. Also, the middle bit was edited weird, like the bold. So, sports climbing this year, because they're going to change it next time, they've already said, was combined sports climbing. So you did speed, bouldering, which is basically puzzle mode, and then lead, which is the sort of thing you actually would imagine when you think of rock climbing. Like one big rock path that you have to climb up and clip your way into clips as you go up, and how high you get is, you know, how you're scored. Makes sense. Yeah, so I caught the end of the speed climbing. The bouldering was a bit weirdly edited. Like, I feel like it jumped in towards the end instead of showing it all, even though it was supposed to be live. And then I watched the entire leading for the qualifiers. Like, generally was really entertained by it. Tuned in the next day for the women's. Watched all the speed climbing this time, because I actually caught it at the beginning. Started watching the bouldering, got about a third of the way through it, and they went, "No, we're gonna go watch some horses. If you want to keep watching this, you gotta go play." Fuck you. Fuck you! It's the Olympics. I'm pretty sure it's one of those things that Ofcom has in the list that should be completely on free TV. Also, you have 9 channels. Why are you you have 9 channels, half of which are showing repeats. Why are you interrupting this mid-fucking thing, this live event, mid-fucking event, to show some fucking horses? It's a fucking waste of time. I fucking hate it. So, I didn't get to see all the women's qualifier. That's fine. Next day, men's finals. Watched all of that. Got that, checked what time that was on, because, I got really into the sports climbing. Watched it from the beginning. Right to the end. I got a bit distracted partway through it and started playing something on a Switch or my phone, and sort of only half watched the leading, but I was still paying attention I was still paying attention and following on who was doing well, where people got to, Like basically I mostly just caught the end of the end of every run instead of watching like from the beginning, because as entertaining as it is, the lead does get a little repetitive because it's the same path however many times. 20 times in the sake of the qualifier. Then we get to the women's, which I didn't watch all of because I had to go out. It's that simple. I wish I could say there was some other fantastic reason, but no, I got to the end of the bouldering and then had to go out because I had plans. I didn't have to. To be clarified, the reason why I was distracted on my Switch was because that was my birthday and I was playing one of my birthday presents. And the reason why I had to go out was because I was going to go pick up Matt in Georgia because we went to Arcade Club, also for my birthday. So that was just poor timing. Like, I would have sat and watched the whole the women's lead as well. I still haven't checked who won. I know that it was Spain who won the men's, and that was really, like, he basically won in the first round. Like, he won in speeding, to the surprise of many, because he beat, like, the lead. He basically beat the champion of the speed climbing. Sports climbing has the sports climbing had a really interesting way of doing its scoring. So you get points based on your position. So you get 1 point for being first, 2 points for being second, and so on. And the goal is to get the lowest score. Combined, multiplied. Yeah. So getting a 1 is real big because you get 1. That's enough. That adds literally nothing to your score because you go from because this guy won the speed climbing, which beating the champion, I believe. So he got 1 point in the first round. I think he only came like 4th or 5th in the group of, I think, 8 finalists. Like he didn't get far. He wasn't like the highest in either of the other 2, but because he had that 1, like that got him the win. And second and third were also. Like, it was the person who was the first in the speed climbing, the person that was the first in lead, and then the person first in bouldering, I think. The other 2 might have been the other way around. But the point is the top 3 were all the people that got the first in one of them because they all had a 1. And it's a lot easier to get a lower score when one of the things that you're multiplying together is a 1. Like, you get first, third, and fourth, that's only 12 points. Like, I think you understand the scoring system. And I got really into that. I got really into the judo, the taekwondo, as I said. I watched a lot. The 3-on-3 basketball is so much fun. Like, I know I mentioned it already, but it was really good for my short fucking attention span, because it's got constant, like, good... I don't know who was DJing it, but good job you. But that music is constant. It's not just between rounds. That music is constant. And they're just passing the ball off. And it's 3-on-3 with a team member with a team of 4, and the 4 just tag out. I think both teams have 1 timeout. It's 1 and 2 instead of 2 and 3, and it's either first to 21 or a 10-minute highest point up to 10 minutes. You still got, I think it's 6 team fouls before you get penalty shots and stuff. Like it's simple, it's fast paced, it's great. I love it. I got super into it. And yeah, so the point of this whole thing is I would love to watch more sport, but the televised sport, especially that we have in this country, is fucking awful. Also, I didn't mean to make this a cliffhanger, but in case you were wondering, you couldn't work out what the 4th one was, but I mentioned earlier that I don't count as in the list of the other 3 is tennis. And I think tennis is fine. Like, it's good background content, but I wouldn't get into tennis. Like, I got into the taekwondo, I got into the 3-on-3 basketball, I got into the sports climbing. I would watch tennis. Wouldn't get into tennis, I'd watch tennis. There's a difference. Yeah, what I'm saying is we need more variety in our televised sport, because God, football is fucking garbage. I'm saying this as an Englishman. Football is fucking garbage. I don't know why it's so popular. It is so awful and so boring. It's better when it's bad that the group of school children are playing it better than the professionals. It's silly. It's really silly. But yeah, the other thought I had when I was thinking of what to talk about for this video was the games, the Olympic Games, like the video games. Because the video games are great. I still go back and play the 2012 game every now and again, and I'm very much considering buying the 2020 game. because it just seems like the 2012 games, but on silly arcade steroids. And that sounds hella fun. Not to mention you can make custom outfits for literally your entire team. Like, yes, the number of times I've seen people playing baseball in judo outfits is, at least twice, which is a significant amount. It's like, it's not very many, but it's way more than I would have expected. Like, I've watched, like, maybe 2 or 3 people play that game, so that's at least, that's a high percentage of people that have, I mean, maybe it's the default for the team. I don't know. It's still very, very funny. I like the idea of just making one character and giving them a different outfit for every sport, because that's the kind of person I am. But, having one character that has the same outfit for literally every sport is also quite funny. But that's beside the point. Because as I mentioned, as well as just wrapping up the Olympics, we have the Paralympics coming. And I generally don't watch the Paralympics just because of... Honestly, because I'm burnt out. I like watching the Olympics burns me out for sport most of the time, because it's the only time I really watch sport, is the Olympiad. Actually, that's a good point. I actually like track and field as well. Like, it's kind of meh. Like, it's very much... It's the default of the Olympics, but track and field is fun. Watching that girl beat the record for long jump, or was it long jump or triple jump? I don't remember. But that woman that beat the record that had literally stood since the first time they had done that sport for women, and she won the whole event on her first jump. She then fouled and didn't do well for every other jump, and then her very last jump, she had already won it again with that first jump. That very last jump, beating the record clean. It was great to watch. Meanwhile, and this is the same time where you've got Italy both sharing gold in the high jump in one of the nicest, most awesome moments and everything, and winning the fucking 100-meter sprint. Shame for the English guy that got a false start. Oh well. Yeah. But it got me thinking, with the Paralympics coming up and spit thinking of the game, they never put Paralympic sports in the games, and I understand that that's not the easiest thing to do. Like, a lot of the time, without seeming either offensive or just making it not fun to play. I think wheelchair basketball is an easy one to do because you just, you basically just change up how the movement, at very least you change up how the movement feels, maybe even slightly change the movement mechanic, but everything else stays the same. And I think that's a lot of what it is your way of making Paralympic versions of sports is take the sport and change one thing slightly. I don't know how you do that for every sport, and I'd really be interested to hear your opinions on that, actually, bar wheelchair basketball, and I saw one shot when they were advertising the Paralympics of 2 guys in wheelchair doing fencing, just basically sat there. And I like the idea of, okay, yeah, so you have regular fencing, which gives the full movement, then you have wheelchair fencing, which is just attacking and parrying. It's got none of the movement elements, which completely changes how the combat functions, because they're doing the stuff with this. I also did fencing when I was younger. Fun facts. But doing the sword play whilst moving is going to be completely different to doing the sword play when you're stationary, right? It is just one minor change to the overall gameplay. But at the same time you've changed how it functions entirely. And I think that is how I would do. That is the basic explanation of how I would do Paralympic sports. I am getting close to the end. I've actually managed to talk about this for almost 20 minutes, which is impressive. But yes, so let me know your opinions on how you would do the Paralympic sports, and let me know what sort of Paralympic sports you do and how you do them. Let me know what other sports you'd like to see, both in the Olympics and in general. Again, I'd love to see the combat sports be more on television. I'd love to see, I don't want to have to look up when the X Games is to be able to watch things like skateboarding and stuff. Yeah, I'd love to have access to more content and more sport that I'd actually be wanting to watch instead of a bunch of boring shit, and I'd like to know what your opinions on all that. Please feel free to yell at me how you are an absolute diehard fan of football and also one of those people that were in all those riots and being a dick about it. Again, football is awful and British football fans are even worse. I'm at my limit, I'm at my time. I will hope to see you again next time. Change the world, embrace chaos, and join the flock.